Okay, I think I can quickly bang out my low, my high, my act of kindness before I, um, you know, get on with what I was going to talk about today. Obviously, my low is that I am still really kind of sick or whatever, but getting better. My high is the fact that I now know that yesterday they revealed this week's Halloween's guest, which is Seth Rogen of all people. Which, okay, looks like Seth Rogen's coming back to Hot Ones. Although I think he did it with someone else last time he was on the show, so I think he's going to do the whole gauntlet this time. That should be really cool. And my act of kindness is last night, I had dinner at my folks' place, and I helped set up and clear the table. We actually had spaghetti and sausage and some green beans. So it was and some garlic bread too. That was really awesome. So with that out of the way, good morning and happy hump day, everybody. So I really want to talk about something today, something kind of I've been thinking a lot about. Like, that feeling you get when like you hear about a really popular franchise or brand that for the most part seems to sprout up overnight, and already it's so popular that it's getting accolades like its own show, for instance. That's actually what I want to talk about today. For those of you who don't know, a couple years ago, a video game was released called Cuphead. And between its 1920s, 30s, 40s style of cartoon animation and how brutally hard the game is, I never really did play the game because I don't have an Xbox, and that's what it was like released on, was like the Xbox. Between, again, the animation, because again, it kind of invoked like the whole style of like Disney, like really early Warner Brothers styles of animation. And again, how brutally hard the game is. It just flew off the shelves, metaphorically speaking. It was like the most popular thing. Like, it was the hot topic for a good while. Like, everyone was talking about this game. How popular it was, how difficult it was. And the premise of the game is actually really simple. Basically, there are these two kids called Cuphead and Mughead, I think is what they are. Or Mugman, I don't know. And they basically go to a casino, which you shouldn't do because they're kids. And they end up winning a lot, but they make a deal with the devil that they lose, but they try and, get out of that deal. And so they gotta go on this journey, collect money from, debtors. And, basically the final showdown is like, they have to, face the devil and stuff. So, as insane as everything looks, the premise really is quite simple. So apparently, it grew to be so popular that Netflix decided to make its own show. Now, television shows made after video games really isn't anything new. It's been going on for, quite a while. Unfortunately, for the most part, they just don't really work. For the most part, either because, really it's for two reasons. One, they completely don't even remotely go for the source material, and they just do whatever they want. And so everyone thinks it's bad, and therefore it's panned. Or they actually do follow the source material to a pretty fair degree. That's, you could say, okay, that's how the show works. All right, I like this. But no one ever watches it. So it underperforms completely. in the end, video game shows are a rarity. If they're good, that is. I mean, the only true show that's legit done a good job with this is Pokemon. But that's because I do believe they had, like, the original creator of the entire series have a say in what goes on. I mean, the guy who invented his name is Satoshi, and for those of you who don't know, in Japanese, on the actual Pokemon anime, Ash's name is Satoshi. So there you go. Here's the thing, though. Call me crazy, but I really think this Cuphead show might actually work. I know. I really didn't think I'd say... Because I saw the trailer for it, and immediately I'm like, okay, as crazy as everything looks here, I really do think they might actually pull this off. It's a long shot. I mean, this is about as long of a shot as you could get, okay? Like, I think it might work, but I'm still not convinced. I'll put it to you that way. So, what about this show do I think is going to work? And what do I think, won't work? Well, right off the bat, what's not going to work is the fact that, yes, this is yet another show based on a video game. Therefore, people are not going to like it, or probably not going to watch it even if it is good, or something along those lines. Not to mention, for all intents and purposes, based on what I know from the video game, and based on what I've seen in the trailer for the show, they are not following the source material very much. I mean, they're following it some. I mean, the animation is still there, and it actually looks really, really good. Seriously, it looks like really good animation. The characters are all drawn to scale, all that stuff. That part's solid. That part's going to work for sure. But here's the thing. A great example of a show that didn't remotely follow the source material whatsoever was the first Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. Not Sonic the Hedgehog Sat AM where Jim Cummings was voicing Dr. Robotnik. No, this is like the before one. Where it was all cartoony and zany. And the show pretty much did its own thing. It followed no rules whatsoever. That is what happens when you don't follow source material. Here's the thing, though. The way that Cuphead first shaped its universe in its video game, you can actually stand to go away from the source material a little bit and you really won't miss much. At least that's what I've noticed. I mean, again, I'm no expert on this. I could be horribly wrong on this. But I really think a sort of... I don't want to call this slice of life because that's clearly not what this is, but sort of situational comedy, if you will. I think it'll work for this show. I mean, the original video game is essentially two kids making a deal with the devil. That should already tell you that a show like this will probably do better than something like the original Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. Although, speaking of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon, and again, this is one instance where I really do think you could call me crazy for this. But I took a look at the voice cast. Specifically who's voicing Cuphead, and it's some guy named Drew Valentino. Now, for those of you who don't know, he is famous for being in the Fast and the Furious movies, I believe. And if you've never seen what he looks like, he's a person of African descent. Here's the kicker why I think him being Cuphead might actually work. Because obviously when I saw the trailer, you get to hear what Cuphead sounds like when he speaks. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness. He's actually doing it. He's actually doing what the original Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon did all those years ago. For those of you who don't know, the original voice of Sonic the Hedgehog in those old cartoons, in that crazy zany cartoon I just mentioned earlier, and Sonic SatAM, was voiced by someone named Julia White. If you don't know who that is Steve Urkel from Family Matters. Yes, Steve Urkel from Family Matters actually legit voiced Sonic the Hedgehog. Here's the thing though. Julia White has stated in interviews that when he was voicing Sonic the Hedgehog, his main goal for playing this character was he didn't want Sonic to sound like him. He didn't really want Sonic to sound like anyone. He really wanted to make Sonic sound like his own generic character based on what he was going for and what the voice director wanted. And that's exactly what True Valentino did here. Because Cuphead doesn't sound like, some sort of, hood African-American kid from, the streets or whatever. He really sounds like, sort of like an old-timey, like, New York-style guy. Yeah, what's going on here? Like, stuff like that. And that actually works. That works. So, already, I can give True Valentino some major props on making the character sound like his own unique character, I guess. That didn't come out right. But the point is, he doesn't sound like anyone that you know. He legit sounds like his own person. And that's a good thing. That's kind of what you should try and do when it comes to doing voiceover in animation. Now, sometimes, you have celebrities, say Patrick Warburton, for instance, who sounds just like Patrick Warburton. And it's fine. It works. It totally works. But for Cuphead, I think you want something that sounded original. And I think they got it here. And kudos to Frank Toledo, I think his name is, who voices Mughead. Like, they sound like their own, characters. I mean, yeah, they're supposed to be kids and they clearly don't sound like kids. But at the same time, they definitely sound like they're in that young sort of age where, they're young, but they're, on the verge of becoming, teenagers or something. I'd say, 9, 10 years old, roughly. Which works. I mean, some kids are just lucky and, their voices get deeper at that age anyway. I mean, it's relatively on the rare side, but it happens. I'm not going to pretend that, we all know the story. People go through puberty differently. So, I don't even want to get into what girls get through. That's something for another day, okay? I don't want to get into that. So, based on what I've seen, and here's another reason why the show is going to work. It's on Netflix. I mean, for the most part, and yeah, Netflix has had some bad shows, to be sure, but a lot of their shows and movies really have hit it out of the park. I mean, I've already gushed on and on about shows like Kid Cosmic and Sentai World. Honestly, I don't really see why Cuphead won't work either. Now, again, this is a long shot. A real long shot. Shows like Kid Cosmic and Centaur World worked because they were their own unique original properties. Cuphead is already an established brand of a video game. So, if this show doesn't do very well, you are potentially risking harming everything about that brand. And that's the part that worries me. I mean, from what I've seen so far, it looks competent. I'll give it that. I liked what I saw in the trailer. So there's that too. So this is one of those shows where it definitely has some very important things going for it. Yet it's still going to be climbing an uphill battle. Unfortunately, only time will tell when we get to mid-February when it releases on Netflix. But whatever happens, I'll be there, and I'll definitely do what I can to talk about it. But from what I've seen other people say, I haven't heard much bad about it, so, fingers crossed. Like, favorite, share, the subscribe button, follow me on social platform, YouTube. I'm very homely. This video for all of you guys are watching Joe for today. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And remember, you guys, I want to talk to channels. Be here to lend you know, so you're back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.